celebration of women, we have celebration of women of the past. We have celebration of women of the present, which is us. And we have celebration of women of the future. And to begin, we're going to start with the proclamation from President Obama. And Dolores Mlynarczyk is going to share that with us. Plus, she's going to share a little bit about the background for women's right to vote. So, Dolores, would you like to come up?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dolores Mlynarczyk, and I am a member of the American Association of University Women. I would like to begin today with information about Oregonian women. My point is, our history is our strength. Women's suffrage in Oregon, 1912 to 2012, will be 100 years that women have had the right to vote. Oregon's suffrage history is a vibrant and vital part of our story, our votes for women, and our region, the nation, and around the globe. The upcoming centennial is an opportunity for all Oregonians to reflect the important topics, the ongoing role women have played in our state's history, the lessons of the suffrage movement, and the achievements of citizen-based political movements, and the importance of civic engagement, among many other important historic and contemporary topics. Oregon suffragettes achieved so much, and I am looking forward to the next 100 years. This is a proclamation from President Obama. You can get this proclamation online if you go to Women's History Project. I'm just going to read a snippets because it's 2 pages long. In America, we must lead by example in protecting women's rights and supporting their empowerment. Despite our progress, too many women continue to be paid less than male workers, and women are significantly underrepresented in the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the STEM fields. By tapping into the potential and talents of all our citizens, we can utilize an enormous source of economic growth and prosperity. The White House Council on Women and Girls has continued to remove obstacles to achievements by addressing the rate of violence against women and supporting female entrepreneurs. Now, I, Barack Obama, the President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and law of the United States, do hereby proclaim March 2011 as Women's History Month. I call upon all Americans to observe this month and celebrate International Women's Day on March 8, 2011, with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities in that honor of history, accomplishments, contributions of women. I also invite all Americans to visit www.womenshistorymonth.gov to learn more about the generations of women who have shaped our history. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand this 28th day of February in the year of our Lord 2011 and the independence of our United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Dolores. So now we're ready to celebrate one spectacular woman of the past, a woman that can represent not just the woman of our past history in the United States, but also since March 8th was International Women's Day, she can represent internationally as well for her outstanding work in United Nations. So Mary Ellen, would you come and tell us about that one mystery person?
So, good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me? Good. I'm Mary Ellen Dello, the Program Vice President of the Salem branch here at AAUW, and I'm going to read to you a little excerpt here about Eleanor Roosevelt, which we chose, or whom we chose to be our honoree woman of history for this event. And I'm going to read to you excerpts here from a site called the National First Ladies Library, which has lots of really good information. And so I'm going to begin here talking about her full name, which some of you may or may not know is Anna Eleanor Roosevelt. And of course, then she married a Roosevelt. So her full name is Anna Eleanor Roosevelt Roosevelt. Born on October 11th, 1884, and died in 1962, and was First Lady from March of 1933 to April of 1945. So the excerpt begins, no presidential wife served as First Lady for a period longer than did Eleanor Roosevelt, 12 years, 1 month, 1 week, and 1 day. No First Lady served through 2 nationally traumatic events, such as did Eleanor Roosevelt, presiding at the White House during the Great Depression and World War II. Unique to her tenure was the fact that the president was physically limited by his then hidden condition of polio. Thus, apart from finding a way to integrate her own professional interests and experiences into the public role of First Lady and assume the traditional management of the mansion's functioning as a political social arena, Eleanor Roosevelt worked closely with the president and his staff as an unofficial administration representative and on policy-related issues. So now I'm going to read a little section on her press conferences. On March 6, 1933, 2 days after becoming First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt held what was to become the first of 348 press conferences, with nearly 35 women in attendance. The idea was a direct measure to help women reporters keep their jobs during the Depression. She conducted them to help the American people keep informed of her White House life and the political activities of the administration, but also to provoke national consciousness about larger issues and crises of the day, and to do so in newspaper print. Now, what made these press conferences even more unique was the open ban on any male reporters. Large publications wanted to carry the news which Mrs. Roosevelt generated, but could only do so by continuing to employ the women reporters that were given exclusive access to the press conferences. This practice, largely uncriticized, proved crucial in establishing women reporters as part of the permanent and modern White House press corps. Their presence and professionalism soon became part of the familiar fabric of the working White House. Previous to this, women reporters in Washington were confined to coverage of style issues, such as entertaining and clothing. While expected to continue to cover these topics, their beat expanded with the First Lady's focus on substantive and serious problems. Her sustaining the press conferences through the Depression and World War II, they covered economics, commerce, defense, and foreign affairs issues. And the press conferences ultimately raised women into the ranks of professional journalism. Her solidarity with them remained strong. So in addition, since we've had this terrible tragedy in the last week in Japan, I thought you might like to know another little piece of information about Eleanor Roosevelt and cherry trees from Tokyo. So let me read you this other little blurb. In 1912, 3,000 cherry tree saplings were sent from a famous grove of cherry trees in Tokyo to Washington, D.C. And how many of you have seen the cherry trees in Washington, D.C.? Yeah. Blooming right around now, right? During World War II, Tokyo's famous cherry trees died due to disease and neglect. So in 1952, Eleanor oversaw the sending of 40 cherry tree grafts that were used to replant the trees in Tokyo. And she wrote, quote, "The people of Japan love beauty, and I think this little exchange may do a great deal to cement the friendship between our two countries."
Thank you so much, Mary Ellen. And many thanks to Dolores Mlynarczyk, who arranged to have this exhibit about women's history in Oregon. So be sure to take a few moments to look at that when you have a chance. Okay, now we're getting ready to celebrate our women of the future. And so I'll turn the program over to Gloria Holland, who will conduct that award ceremony.
Thank you, Joyce. Good morning, everybody. My name is Gloria Holland. I'm the secretary of the Salem branch of AAUW. The mission of AAUW is to advance equity for women and girls through advocacy, education, philanthropy, and research. The essay contest is just one project sponsored by AAUW Salem branch to advance equity for girls through education. Another major project is Expanding Your Horizons, a career exploration opportunity for middle school girls to introduce them to the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math. In January of this year, over 200 Salem girls attended workshops at Willamette University, given by 26 professional career women in these fields. It is known that the fastest growing occupations include data analysts, healthcare workers, computer software engineers, veterinary technologists, pharmacists, nurses, and veterinarians. Girls, are you paying attention to that? Job openings in these fields provide economic security. Women's economic security is a high priority, so AAUW is a partner with the National Girls Collaborative Project. The NGCP is funded by a grant from the National Science Foundation and is designed to promote projects across the country that engage school-age girls in science and math by sharing project information and resources in an online database. In addition to the career workshops, AAUW Salem branch provides Willamette University or Chemeketa Community College with a scholarship to be awarded to an upper division woman majoring in these fields. We also contribute to the association's educational foundation, the world's largest source of funding for graduate women, supplying more than 250 women with fellowships and grants each year. AAUW Salem branch is supportive of the YWCA Da Vinci Girls. It's an after-school program for girls in grades 3 through 5. These girls experience hands-on education in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math. AAUW has partnered with the Oregon Women's Suffrage Centennial, which was mentioned earlier, 1912 to 2012. This was the basis of the selected essay topic this year, which was Women's Right to Vote. The contest was open to boys and girls in the middle schools of the Salem area. Judges this year were Marion Churchill, Isla Holmes, and myself, Gloria Holland. Is Marion Churchill here today?
He was not able to.
Okay. Marion provided a summary of the judges' findings. 21 essays were submitted by boys and girls from the following middle schools: Stevens, Blanchette Catholic, Leslie, Judson, Walker, La Creole, Cascade, and Talmadge. The judges evaluated each essay based upon understanding the content theme, ideas and content, grammar, and word choice. Many thanks to the judges for their time and skills in the language arts. Winners of the essay contest are here today to read their essays to you, and this is the really exciting part. We're going to start today with the third place winner, whose name is Gillian Parker. And Gillian, could you come up here while I'm talking about this? I'm going to talk about you just a little bit. Gillian is a 7th grader from Walker Middle School. Her teacher is Lisa Hughes, and she will win a $50 check and a certificate of excellence from AAUW, which I'll present after you've read your essay. A little bit about Willian. She attends Walker, and she's in the concert choir there. She likes to spend a lot of time And I asked her if I could say playing, and she kind of rolled her eyes. So we won't say playing with younger cousins, but they're younger enough that might work. She volunteers at the Humane Society every summer. She loves to read and shop and design clothes. She plans to attend the University of Oregon, go Ducks, and, and she's thinking about teaching or perhaps a career in veterinary medicine. So you're right on target there. I'd like to present now Gillian Parker.
All throughout the past, there's been discrimination against women.
It's kind of scary if you've never done it before. You might even get a little bit closer.
Sometimes you have to eat these things.
All throughout the past, there's been discrimination against women. They had no rights except to clean and obey. They could not hold powerful positions and were not even allowed to vote. No, these things were reserved for the more important men to enjoy. Women in America had no status. They were as low as the meanest beggar. In 1838, Sarah Grimp started her career as a public speaker for women's rights. As expected, the powerful men quickly shut down her speeches, but they came too late. Women all over the country heard Sarah's words, and it sparked something inside them. The fight for women's rights had begun. 10 years later, the first Women's Rights Convention is held. 100 attendees signed a declaration of sentiment and restitution demanding equality with men in education and voting. In 1868, discrimination became even more evident. The 14th Amendment defined voters and citizens as men. Women fought back. During the next 7 years, many women brought their case before a judge, hoping to gain rights for women everywhere. However, every judge refused to agree. During the year 1878, a women's suffrage amendment was introduced to the U.S. Congress. It was ignored until 1919. In 1912, the women's rights activists broke through to Congress. Theodore Roosevelt's Progressive Party adopted a women's suffrage plank. Then, in 1916, Jeannette Rankin was elected to represent Montana in the House of Representatives. She was the first woman to do so. On August 26, 1920, the women of America celebrated. The 19th Amendment had been ratified. They were now allowed to vote. These women had something to live for, and they made it happen against all odds. I'm very thankful for the women of the 20th century. They changed the way people thought and acted. The women's rights activists proved that they deserve to be treated as equals to men.
I'm just always so impressed with the poise that is exhibited by young women this age. It just amazes me, and Gillian certainly exhibits a great deal of poise. Gillian, you are receiving a certificate of excellence from AAUW and a check for $50, which I understand you're going to share with some of your friends today or soon. And our second place winner is Teresa Thurston. She's an 8th grader at Blanchett Catholic School, and her teacher, Mary Snyder, is here. Mary, could you just, yay for teachers. I taught 8th grade for 15 years, so I get it. Teresa will receive a check for $75 and a certificate of excellence. And I have a couple of things to say about Teresa. She is quite musical. She plays oboe and piano, and she's in the school choir. She also is in the Science Olympiad and the Willamette Girl Choir. She's on student council and has participated in the Scholastic Writing Contest. She loves to write. She has done a lot of traveling with her family. Lucky girl. She's been, get this, to the Philippines, Spain, Italy, England, France, Korea, and Saipan. Yeah, wow. She's been to the Philippines 4 times and to Korea twice. So, my gosh, I haven't been there. Maybe next time you'll take me with you. She is keeping her options open for college and a career. She's not quite sure what she wants to do. So let's welcome Teresa Thurston from Blanchett Catholic.
You know, suffragette is a difficult word to spell. The spell check made a point of telling me that. But this word is fitting in that suffragettes also didn't have an easy time. The word suffragette's origin can also testify to that. According to Wikipedia, suffragette was a term originally coined by the Daily Mail newspaper as a derogatory label for members of the late 19th and early 20th century movement for women's voting rights in the United Kingdom. Women worked to have their voices heard. Those simple words sum up their cause. But if you take a moment to really think about their cause, like I needed to for this essay, you'll find that their cause was bigger than just saying they wanted to vote. To show you my point, think of yourself as a suffragette. The media, with support from men, women, and even believers in the Bible, were totally against these women. Maybe you would have been against them too, if it weren't for your experience as a non-voter. You know that a lot of policies go through without your say. But that's not the thing that bugs you the most. What really gets you is this silent message: you don't matter. That's bearable compared to most things. But when the world gives you that message every day, life gets depressing. These women decided that now was the time to stop this problem because they realized that if they never started, the you don't matter would never go away. These women worked hard to have that message go away. They went through psychological struggles, like being labeled suffragette, and sometimes physical violence. But these women decided to make their lemons into lemonade. They turned the term suffragette into a proud badge and decided to turn their pain and fear of the crowds into something productive, like continuing with their cause. So after looking at what these women went through, I can assure you that their campaign was a lot harder than my struggle to find out how to spell suffragette.
So I am presenting to Teresa a check for $75 and a certificate of excellence from AAUW Salem branch, and I'm going to let Joanne deal with the flowers. And one of the flowers is for you, and one is for your mother.
Nice job.
Thank you.
And Mom, you can share it with Dad too. Our first place winner, can you hear me? Am I okay here? Our first place winner is Kaylee Hafferkamp. She's a 7th grader from Judson Middle School, and her teacher is Genesis Williams. Kaylee will win a $100 check and a certificate of excellence from AAUW. Kaylee is an athlete. She plays softball, basketball, volleyball, and is in competitive swimming. She is currently taking classes, her confirmation classes, at the Trinity Covenant Church, which is, as I understand, a big deal in her life. Kaylee was chosen to be included in the U.S. Achievement Yearbook for Exceptional Students. This inclusion opens up opportunities for scholarships, which Kaylee probably isn't looking at right now, but she will be in the years to come. And and she particularly will probably want a scholarship if she gets into Harvard, where she'd like to go to study law. So with that, allow me to introduce Kaylee Hafferkamp from Judson.
I decided to title my story Making a Difference. I watched on the sidewalk as Mama and her friends yelled in the middle of the street. They were holding large, bright signs and marching back and forth. When the sun was setting over the horizon, Mama took my small hand in hers and led me home. She looked exhausted as she plopped down in Papa's favorite chair. She lifted me onto her lap. "Tell me a story," I whispered softly. She smiled. "Okay, my little Hannah." She paused. "Once there was a land called the United States of America. They were supposed to be a democracy, and everyone was supposed to be treated equal. But Mama, Mr. Wallers, my teacher, said we lived in the United States of America and that mamas were fighting our government because they wanted some rights," I said defiantly. "That's what this story is about, so don't interrupt me." She winked. "So, as I was saying, that land was supposed to be equal, but those mamas wanted to vote, so they went out into the streets and told the government what they wanted. Is that why you and your friends go into the streets with those big signs?" I asked. "Yes," she laughed. "How does it end?" I wondered. "I don't know yet, sweetie. Now let's get you to bed." She picked me up, carried me to my room, and laid me in my bed. I was asleep instantly. I awoke the next morning, and Mama took me to the same sidewalk. It was the same routine every weekend when I wasn't in school. Today, Mama seemed happier on our walk home. She sat down and lifted me onto her lap. "I know how our story ends," she whispered into my ear. "How?" I whispered back. "Well, the mamas worked so hard that the government had to listen, so when you're 18, you'll be able to vote for our next president." Mama looked so excited just to say it. "But Papa always told me that voting was a papa's job." "Not anymore, dear. We made a difference, all of us mamas, together."
When I was in high school, one of the things that I was very involved in was public speaking competitively. And I see that in the future of each of these girls. I'm just very impressed with the presence that you all have in standing up in front of a group of strange people. I don't know that we're strange people, strangers, and presenting yourself so well. Kaylee, let me present you with a Certificate of Excellence from AAUW Salem branch and a check for $100. I don't know if the television audience saw that, but the rose that was intended for Mom went to Grandma. So we're all very pleased that she has that consideration. We give special recognition and much appreciation to the school administrators, staff, and teachers for relaying the information and encouraging the students to write these essays. We also would like to thank the Statesman Journal for publishing information about the contest online. And also a thanks to CCTV and Mark Hernandez and Sohabedee. I hope I got that sort of right. Let's all recognize the essayists with a last big round of applause. Thank you.